How are you? How are you doing? Moa bwana, sifungue mic. Usingizi imekataa na utaki kuongea na uko kwa mic. Eh? Ask Mike. We said at least 3 hours catch up, whereby we want to just catch up in a few minutes and then we close it up. We have and on Monday whereby we're gonna have several guys on spot and other things. Moha. Oh, Moha may drop. Guys, can you hear me? If you can hear me, can I have thumbs up? Guys, can you hear me? Hey, people. If you can hear me, let me have thumbs up. Maybe you don't listen to me. Maybe you don't hear me. Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Okay. Everything is okay. It's only that you don't want to have a mic. Yeah, guys. So, which song do you like? Which one do you like so that we can have a good song? Let me tafuta hapa. As you think to have a mic. As you think to have a mic. As you think to have a mic, we catch up. We see what is happening. Right. Best. If you need a mic, let me know. Just because a mic is this is a 3 hours space. If I had to describe the connection, I would say to catch up. Daktari, I see you. How are you doing? AJO. Hey, bwana, hii jina yako ni refu. Jina yako ni refu. Si uchukue mic ukuje utuambie jina yako naitwa daktari. AJO. AJO Hii mara hii ni ngumu. Social Democrat. Hey bro, have a mic. Have a mic, we catch up. Nacheka nini bwana? Why are you laughing? Hiyo jina yako ni refu sana. Dr. AJMA bwana, hii jina ni refu bwana. Hebu soma hii jina yako bwana. How are you doing, daktari?
Actually, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, it is actually 3 names. I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I'm a social democrat, you know.
I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you so much for your invitation, you know.
yeah.
I can see 3 hours. I don't know if it has started right now.
No, it just started and now. It is not. It has not lasted long. It just started now.
So we're gonna be waiting for others to join.
No. If you have something, we can go. Let other people find us on the way. Like. Yeah, you are a social democrat, man.
Sure. That's right.
Many people may not even understand social democrat means what it entails and everything. In a nutshell.
Social democrats actually means so a social democracy is type of a democratic space or governance system where the power is given to the people, public issues, you know.
Yes.
And actually, basically, that is the brief meaning. Yeah. So majority of the decisions are made by the public,
Right.
and not. It is not. It's not. It can't. You don't confuse it with the consensus democracy. Consensus democracy is now where it's a type of democracy where we don't have a presidential system, parliamentary system. It's where now you have the decisions are made like a village.
Right.
Village. You come, people make decisions. Hillary gives his input, all that. Like the one in northern Canada.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, bro. That's amazing, and you believe in that?
Sure. Strongly.
Yeah,
And I think practically possible in Kenya and in Africa.
Yeah, we
are still evolving.
Yeah, we need to talk much about that. Besides the spaces, so we see what can we do to make this work. Because I think your ideology is very important, and actually to me that's what even I believe in. It's only that people information, whereby if they have information and they understand what
mm,
is up. Uh, so that's the problem is that many people doesn't know what is happening. They go
mm.
with the popularity in the sense that what is popular out there, but
Yeah, yeah.
don't have the facts. That's why
Mm,
they go out there. When they have the
yeah.
facts, then it will be easier for them to know what they want and to do what is right. The problem comes in whereby you see now people are doing things because other people are doing.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Even the elite, I've realized even the elite, even those people who are going to school, many people, man, and that's why you
You
see,
see, currently, even in the looking at the kind of pressure points that we have had in the country since June, eh?
yeah,
Uh, you will notice, and from your social psychology tells you,
mm,
majority of the people trust in you know, where you don't pin the constitutions that it should be on paper. You
right,
pin the constitutions based on what Dr. Jackson has said, or Dr. what Hillary has said, what
right.
Joe has said.
I hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it has been a challenge, bro. It has been a challenge. I think now we need to take this thing ahead, and now
Mm,
people should go with umati wa watu, but
mm.
they should know what to do and what to expect and what should happening. So they need to be aware.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we're taking the
Unfortunately, I think the worst bit of it was, but now the battle we are fighting, actually, even this battle that currently we are bedeviling our country is supposed to be fought by the huge chunk of members of parliament, both at the county level and at the national level. Unfortunately, even you realize that majority of a high percentage of MCAs do not know the constitution, because literally you notice that some of them get into parliament just with a national ID or just with a class 8 certificate, and for some reasons then they did not have the opportunity to embrace and go through the first part of that first stage of constitution making process during that time, that the constitution. So that part of civic education has made us to be where we are now, because people interpret things based on rumors that they get from mainstream media and all that, and it becomes very difficult to separate the fact from the real thing, and that is what we are battling currently. It is so unfortunate that we are innocent battling, but majority of us actually do not even know some little provisions and rights embedded within the constitution, you know.
You're right. You're very right, and that's what those are the things that I think we need to do on a
Mm.
serious note, and to make sure that we understand what we believe in, we understand what we're doing. We are going to the road. Why are we going to the road? Because I want to show you this: 99, I'm at 90% didn't know even
Mm.
why they're going to the road.
Yeah, sure, true, true.
Yeah, they're just going because people are going. I can just go because I see Dr. AJ going, can see Joe
Mm.
is going, so let me join them. But the real thing, personally, I
Mm.
don't know why I'm going there. And I think these are the things that is happening around. But I
Yeah,
think
a typical
when
example, Hillary, if you saw that dude who was that young boy who was actually giving as much attention during protest heading to JKIA. You see, that young boy just heard that JKIA has been has been sold, and so he literally went out with that information that, what, our airport has gone, and he could literally, and he was very serious, that it has gone. He made. we don't have a, and sometimes they interpret it like when the airport has been sold, for example, the land has gone. In fact, it is going to be closed, and so it is going in. And I attend most of those civic education sessions, and with these young people, the Gen Zs and millennials, and even Gen Alphas, and literally, we have a long way to go when it comes to interpreting the rule of law. You know.
We have a long way to we have a long way, but this long way, I think, we have a purpose us, because we are in a position to understand, and we are in a position to simplify these things for us, or for many
That's
people
true.
to understand, even in the local language.
Mm,
One,
that's
we try Swahili, where everybody nowadays, nobody doesn't know Swahili, hata kama ni sheng ama ni nini, lakini anaelewa.
yeah,
Alafu then we
that's true.
rotate it to other languages that more people can understand. You know,
Mm,
I've noticed one thing. I've noticed even the comrades, man, we don't understand a lot of things.
yeah, definitely. I mean, basically, we really, majority of us are, we depend on democratic rumors. You know,
Right,
what you hear from the mainstream media and space, and you take it as the final bit of the information you have. You
right,
know, and that then makes the government to really take advantage. You see now, like on Thursday, when there were demonstrations, so many Kenyans, young Kenyans, were actually jailed. They were taken to cell walilala huko. There are almost 200, because literally, even if you ask them, why are you protesting, they are not aware why they are protesting. They are
right.
not aware. They even do not aware which provision of the law outlines the rights to protest. And so, if you are not aware, at least a provision in the law that outlines to do something, you are not aware how to defend yourself also. And it becomes very easy for people in power to manipulate even your demonstration, even if it has a lot of meaning. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you so much, guys. Join. We are in pressure point whereby we have 3 hours catch up. You guys want to know how you're doing, how's everything, and also we have Daktari here is trying to. We are trying to say that there's so many things that's happening that sometimes we don't understand. We just get involved into, because we are seeing that the majority is going then there. But now, what can we do, Daktari, to make sure that all these things that is happening, we just not join the group, but I think that's the next pressure point, and that's what we're gonna do majorly in this platform, and in other areas. And these are the pressure point whereby people should know what is happening, if it is politics, if it is health, if it is anything, if it is sports, because we are coming also with the sports, we are coming with we want to know everywhere the pressure point, even health wise. There are some things that some people ignores, even to go to hospital to know their health well-being. You just assume unasikia kichwa inakuuma unasema ai mazee, no, I cannot make it. But those are things that we want to pressure when what is happening that uh, I've noticed that pressure point is entails everything, entire life that you're living in all ways. Because if you are not healthy, then it is something that not right, and you cannot even go to the road. And also, when the politics is not right, then we cannot achieve what we want to achieve. When the food is bad, actually, um, our major focus, we want to talk about the environment and the food security, because also this thing is somebody people doesn't understand, and it has a lot of debate, a lot of things that's going on. Actually, I'm talking to expertise. I think 1 week after this Sunday, we're gonna have many platform, many speakers, the experts on, or the expertise on environment and food security, to explain to us a few things. So majorly we will focus on several things as we do what we're talking about, Daktari, to see well that kumbe hii ni ile inafaa tufanye. Umoshi, nimekuona hapo long time. Msema kweli, how are you? How are you doing? Have a mic. We are just conversing, knowing how the well-being. Unaendeleaje, maisha iko vipi, na jambo kama hilo tu, kidogo kidogo tu. So yes, daktari, that's the plan.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's quite cool.
Right.
It's a quite amazing discussion indeed, because food is what defines the physical outlook of every living organism. Bit of it is affected both environmentally, as well as economically. And there's a lot of things when you talk of environment. You talk of climate factors, you talk of human activities, you talk of natural degradations and all that. But just to introduce that bit of the topic, it is just cool to understand the term food security and nutrition security, because from my medical background, then it's a topic that I think I performed well in it. So I literally can be able to help us define it, and then we pick it from there. At least now we would have known the structural dimensions of what exactly we are talking about. So in talk of food security, actually you are referring to four dimensions. You talk of availability, you talk of affordability, you talk of accessibility, and then of course you talk of acceptability. So those four are affected multilaterally by environmental factors. And environmental factors are broad. And when you talk of nutrition security, then of course food food is any liquid or solid substances which, when then you take into the body, is able to provide three major things: that is growth, development, and reproduction. But away from that is that what you eat and is not what gets in the body. What gets into your body is what we call nutrient after that digestion has happened. So of the food, that is the process of food digestions, both chemically and mechanically, ends within within the small intestine. So beyond there, then into the body, you talk of nutrients. So we also define nutrition security. That is now the food you consume. Does it have enough nutrients for you to be able to for nutrients are actually meant to nourish the body, and by nourishing means it is able to provide all the critical roles that then makes the body have a functional nervous stimulations, as well as energy, and of course enough cholesterol levels that then would help in nourishing the body. So that said, then all these are actually affected by environment in a very critical way, in that environment is broad, as we have said. When you talk of the natural degradations or natural happenings, volcanoes, even where, like, in Kibra, if you eat skuma wiki from Kibra and it has been planted along the river, that environment affects you, because the nutrient that you will get from that skuma wiki is either having metals, that then when you consume will actually cause nervous system disorders, and of course a range of it. And on that note, then you will notice that environment really play a significant role in affecting what finally gets into our system. Thanks so much, Hilary.
Ayo, Daktari. So that was just what I thank you so much. Actually, you'll be one of the team that we're gonna discuss this in at length after this Sunday, the next Sunday, so that we have all this discussion, and so people to understand, because
Yeah.
we have a lot of rumors. That's what we're saying. We don't have factual or facts when we argue on
Mm.
our stories of in everything. I've realized that nilisikia wanasema hivi. I just heard what they're saying. Yourself, you don't have
That's
any information, so that's good, Daktari. So we're gonna do that, and we have several people that are willing to join on that discussion, and it is amazing thing,
that's
is a discussion we see, and now we rotate it to village level, where we can understand it from down there coming up.
yeah.
So that's a good thing. So, and we appreciate. Yes, guys, welcome to the pressure point. We just want to hear how are you doing, your wellness and everything. So tuko na daktari hapa. Kama uko na swali pia ya unaumwa na kichwa, unaweza sema, tuone kama ni maji ya ukunywi ama ama namna gani, tiagas ni mingi kwa mwili ama namna gani. So such things, kidogo kidogo. We said that let us catch up for 3 hours, then we call it a day or a night or a evening or what. So yep, you can have a mic. So that's that, Daktari. So we're gonna do that, and then to prepare yourself for the next 2 week after this Sunday. We're gonna make a flyer. We're gonna promote it well, and make sure that as much many people to attend that session. So the pressure point will be focusing everything in every sector, in every area, because
a
we,
brilliant
we
idea.
want we want to do it. We don't just focus on politics and forget about even the key areas of life. Mm.
That's brilliant. That's
Yeah,
very brilliant.
yeah, because everything is commanded. Hey, simuchukue mic bwana. Unapenda unajua watu napenda udaku. Unapenda tu udaku wasikize atake hapo Hillary alisema. Alafu sasa Hillary alisema sini. Liz,
Liz is very active.
Liz is very active. Utasikia hapa akiuliza swali. Liz, hebu kuja. Come.
Nilicheka hiyo wakati nilikuwa najaribu kudefine those two terms, so maybe Liz can also come up and tell us what she thinks about them.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah,
Can
Liz.
you hear me?
Yes. Good evening. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Hilary. I just saw you are having this space open, and I decided to jump in. And I like what Dr. AJ said. However, I'm not able to contribute much because I'm on the road driving. So I was just glad to listen in, but I'm not able to contribute much because in a drive, niko kwa barabara ninatoka job, so
You
mutaniwia
work at
radhi kwa
night?
sasa.
Nipatie
Huh?
lift.
You
Huh?
work at night or you are in Canada? Because I know Canadians currently they are awake. I think I
I'm
was.
in California actually, so it's around 4:30, so I'm leaving work right now.
Oh, that's pleasure. Safe journey, eh?
Yeah, I'm
Lakini
driving, so
unajua
I love what you
huko
said.
huko sio kama Kenya.
Kwa nini?
At least you drive with security 100% on your back. Huku
Yeah.
you could talk while driving.
Yeah, I have the handheld device, not it, the thing that holds the phone while you're driving. So I have that holding my phone because I cannot drive and I cannot speak on the phone and drive as well. So that really helps out.
I know you.
But actually, I like what you said about Kibera because I was born and brought up in Kibera. That's my home. When I go back to Kenya, that's where I go to. But then what you
Yeah, we come
highlighted.
from the same village. I was.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and
Daktari, unapotea unakuja unapotea. Sijui nani na meza
Yeah,
sauti yako.
yeah.
yeah, I was.
Can you hear me, Hilary, though?
I can
You
hear
can.
you.
Okay, so I was saying that I was born and brought up in Kibera. That's where I go to. When I go back to Kenya, I still have to go back home where I was born and brought up. I went to Kibera Primary School for my elementary, for primary school. And what you said about the sukuma wiki. Those days when I was growing up, sukuma wiki we used to get it from Marikiti. So I believe
Yeah.
at that time, I don't know about now, but at that time the sukuma wiki that we had was more healthier and more fresh, and you couldn't find vegetables growing in Kibera because most of it was just houses and just structures for people to live in. But most of the food we got from toy markets, and the ones who we were buying from toy market had been bought in wholesale from Marikiti in town. And these ones from Marikiti, I believe they came from Central and Limuru, and so I believe they were fresh at that time. I don't know about now, but at that
No,
time,
don't.
that's
Yeah,
all
don't.
I can say. Growing up in Kibera, we ate a lot of sukuma wiki, spinach, cabbages, a lot of vegetables, but they were not grown locally. But what you said about them having metals that can have effect on the nervous system, I think that's true, especially if it's happening right now with a lot of pollution that has taken place on Nairobi River and all the other rivers around. That's a possibility that could be happening right now.
Wow, that is a. Larry, you can hear me. You can hear me.
Hello?
Uh-huh.
Did you hear what I said? I was
Yeah, of
speaking to
course.
myself. Okay,
I've
okay.
heard you entirely.
Yeah, your mic is coming up and disappearing again for some reason. I can't hear you continuously.
Oh, you can't hear me totally? Hillary, you can get me?
Yeah, I can get you now, but sometimes I think maybe because Liz has opened a mic, I don't know that's the problem, but I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me. You know, I have to go up because nilikuwa kwa sitting room chini.
Oh, ulikuwa chini. Unapenda
Yeah,
chini.
yeah. I was still reading. Actually, you've gotten me reading.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine.
Now
That's
you can hear me well, eh?
for us as a mic, you can give a mic. For us, how are you doing?
Hi, Hillary.
Hi.
Mine is just to say I'm so inspired by Liz's story that, growing up in Kibra and currently in California, from Kibra to California, that's purely inspirational for a Kenyan to achieve that. In terms of the quality of the food available, definitely. Those days, back in the day, we had access to better food, but with the increase in population and lack of investment by the government to sustain that increase has led to severe problems. Like Dietary said, metal poisoning is a reality now through our food. That's all I would like to say. Thank you, Hillary.
Thanks so much. I don't know now if Perez, you can hear me well. Are you able to hear me? I don't know if Hillary can hear me. I
God is
mean,
hearing you, Daktari. Kila mtu anakusikia sasa. Paras,
oh,
yeah.
oh, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
I can hear you.
Okay, Jay, go ahead.
Can I go ahead? Can I go ahead? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear you, Daktari?
I hope Paraz and Liz and the rest can also hear. If you don't hear me, you just give me 100 so that I can be able to. If you don't,
Everybody's getting. Oboshu, can you hear Ajay? June said that.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the bottom line here that one thing that we need to actually dissect in its critical nature is how are complications, and in this case we are talking of medical complications, environment and food related. You realize that, for example, when you have dark green leafy vegetables planted along a river in the stature of river Nairobi River, with all the metals in it that it carries along. The negative effect it will have to the body is a long-term development of silent, actually development of carcinogenic materials that have been, brought by high accumulations of um, metals, and in this case we are talking of metallic compounds that then are carbonic in nature, that eventually bind. They bind the respiratory tract system, cardiovascular system, and even the renal and liver system. Those are very important organs, and to some extent, even the skin. And so the trajectory would be, how do we then, because now, as we said, this environment is broad. You plant, crops in an environment where the water is either, carrying asbestos, and that is the water you are using to maybe plant your crop. So that is the water where the surrounding where the water flows. But the other thing is also the these materials, the polythene, tetrachloromethane, all those polythene compounds around. The negative and detrimental effect still come back to a long-term effect, still come back to people developing medical conditions of different nature. And in this case, it is imperative to understand that the food we consume, you see now Liz is saying that they used to get it even now here in Nairobi. I stay in Syokimau. The food you go and buy in Mlolongo or in Marikiti, you don't know its source. And that is always, even in supermarket, you don't know its source. And that is very, very important. It is good Hilary has brought this topic. And the other thing also that we need to know, that even the food that we buy, some of them are actually made to ripe through a chemical process. And still that also come back to the environment in which those foods are made to quicken their, or to fasten their ripening periods, like for fruits, for example. So it is a whole range, and it is a big topic that maybe if we start discussing, and that is why it is very important that we get views from people, we analyze the environmental impact on the foods that actually literally gets into our fridges, including even foods that finally we store in our fridges. And we actually even, for a long time, majority of us store food for as long as even 1 month in the fridge. What are the negative effects? It is a very huge topic, and I'm very excited to co-host with Hilary. Maybe moving forward, we will be in a positions to get points here and there. At least for some reasons, our health may be better beyond here. Back to you, Hilary. I can see Faraz.
Daktari, unajua umekuja hapa na lugha ngumu ngumu bwana, mpaka sasa tusi tumepotea tu kwa barabara hapa. So sometimes
I'm very sorry.
ameshangaa unasema nini, but I've seen June. Let June June, how are you doing?
Oh, hi. I actually had a follow-up question for Daktari. I know so I am not an expert in the food industry and whatnot. I'm an expert in public health. So I think one of the things that people always want to understand, and some of the questions that I've received before, is in terms of, for example, incubation, which is the term we normally use for mostly infectious diseases. For cancers and all these diseases caused by carcinogenic substances like lead, asbestos, and whatnot. In terms of the period that actually it can take for people to actually start to get this disease, or at least the symptoms of it, how long in your expertise does it take, if at all, there's a range? Because I know the incidence for certain diseases can be very, very difficult to measure, like it is for most of the cancers. But in terms of your own expertise, what does that look like? Please, thanks.
I've heard the word incubation. June, is that what you mean? Incubated food products?
Not necessarily. I'm talking about, for example, people who live in certain areas where they have to eat these foods that have been planted next to, along the polluted rivers and whatnot. Sometimes it takes forever for them to actually get, symptoms of disease, for example, or for their liver or any other organs to be infected with cancers and all these other conditions. So in your expertise and in your experience, how long do you think it takes for people to start developing these symptoms or these diseases after they have been exposed for such a long period of time?
Yeah, that's quite interesting question. Now, from biological point of view, not only, and let me now maybe spread this whole concept of taking food in by design, of maybe they have been contaminated, they are carcinogenic, or they have chemical elements that may cause any medical complications. So let's broaden it beyond beyond dark green leafy vegetables. Let's talk of environmentally negatively affected food products that eventually gets into our body system. One of the things is that human beings are designed high intake of waste product indirectly through the food you consume, either by design of being removed from the sources that then have a negative impact. That means they contain carcinogenic substances or metals that then can cause detrimental effect to the body. Then it will depend on the design, the genetic makeup of a human body. There are people who are very allergic even to pollen grains. There are people who are actually even allergic to some food products. That allergy is brought because of our genetic makeup, or genetic materials in our body. So I wouldn't say, in the effect that you have consumed very high volume of metallic materials indirectly through maybe as dark green leafy vegetables like sukuma wiki, then the symptoms ought to appear in the incubation period ought to appear not more than 2 years or so. If you are a child between 5 years to 60 months, 5 years to 15 years, and maybe because we also have mothers who consume and then they also breastfeed, it has a lot of detrimental for children between neonate all the way to, because now they are breastfeeding, all the way to 60 months. That is about 5 years. Their body system is not well developed to fight or to have a positive effect to pathogens or foreign materials. So you will literally see the symptoms coming out very, very fast, even if it is in the case of cancer, for example. In adults, it might take sometimes, depending on at what stage. Like you see now in some parts of Meru, you know very well there is a village in Meru that has a very high prevalence rate of or incidence rate, for that matter, of cancer, especially breast cancer. That is brought by the I was actually told that it is brought by this fertilizer that they are using and these chemicals that they are using to spray on the nini, and it takes it depends on the consumption rate of the food product. For adults, it might take long because our body have developed the immunity enough to fight. But in high volume, in high concentration, then it would take between maybe 1 year to 3 years, and you literally start seeing the effect of heavy consumptions of this.
No, thanks for that, Dr. That makes a lot of sense. And I just, usually we draw comparisons in terms of, Western countries and back home, particularly in Africa, where, people have been eating mostly organic foods that are actually planted in their own gardens and whatnot, compared to most of these Western countries where they actually, their weather cannot actually sustain such kind of agriculture. However, we're actually seeing, of course, a shift in what that looks like back home, where we have, many incidence rates of cancer, or be it, reproductive cancers, or, any other cancer that, we know, even those that are related to the foods that we eat. So it's just nice to actually know that. And actually, I think it's part of prevention as well. When people have all this information, then they're able to not only monitor their conditions, but actually find ways to be able to prevent it. One of the things that I just wanted to mention, though, is, when you think about food security and health, most of the times we tackle things, very siloed, right? Oh, we're just going to tackle food security. We're not even going to think about health, or not. We won't integrate all of it. I think it's time we made a concerted effort, both upstream and downstream, to be able to integrate the efforts that go into food security, but also thinking about prevention. In Kenya, in particular, as a public health officer, one of the things that we really struggle with is that very little money or very little investment actually goes to prevention. Even cancer right now.
That is very true. In Kenya, the real war that we have battled since 2016, I've been part of a team that have come up with a range of, you see this thing called community. Yes, someone is talking. I don't know if someone is, or what can I hear? This community case management, that manual, it has an aspect of malnutrition management. Unfortunately, you get when it comes to the government's budget, the money that is allocated to remember, we have got four of healthcare delivery. We have promotive, preventive, curative, and rehabilitative. If you look at the money that goes to preventive, it is almost like there is no money, and it is something affecting us because part of community management is actually under preventive care, and it is all about getting the community to know how to handle foods and battle the effect of foods that have been derived either genetically or in environments that then do not deserve human consumption. So it is a real war that may be moving forward with Dr. Mary. I know he's aware of this. There's some manual is being developed currently on the same, but as I was saying, there is a lot to be done when it comes to for preventive aspect of healthcare delivery.
Absolutely. And of course, some of this is very political, of course, right? There's more money in terms of people benefiting in terms of profit when they actually invest more in curative than they do in actually prevention, right? When people are educated about their health, when people can be screened for cancer, whether we're talking about, primary prevention, secondary prevention, there's a lot of money that can actually be saved in the government itself, particularly in terms of cancer. We're trying so much in terms of infectious diseases, but in terms of cancer, there's really very, very minimum effort that actually goes to actually educating people on what cancer is, because most people don't even understand what it is, by the way. And people have different sort of names for it. And there's a little bit of stigma, particularly when you're thinking about, moving away from food, but even thinking about, cervical cancer, for example, there's a lot of stigma there. And some of these cancers can be prevented, particularly those, for the reproductive system, but also the ones that are related to food. If people know that this is the food that they should be eating, if people can afford it, and those are some of the upstream policies that can actually be implemented by the government of Kenya to be able to support these people who are doing the job down here, downstream, to be able to educate people. So, all to say that there is a huge need for concerted efforts, multi-level, multi-agency sort of efforts to be able to support not only food security, but actually access to healthy and quality food. In the long term, in terms of impact, we're talking about a healthy nation, right? A healthy nation where people don't have to go to the hospital and access cancer treatment, and it even takes them 1 year to just get one chemotherapy or radiotherapy session. So, we can do better generally, but that's all I wanted to contribute. Thank you.
That's amazing indeed. That's amazing indeed. Paras, I'm seeing your hands up. You have something to tell us. You can go on. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Basically, the example you gave of the sukuma wiki growing along the banks of Nairobi River and containing all the metals and all the unwanted stuff. I the other day I was lucky enough to go to the Dubai 2020 Expo, and I went to the Germany stand, and I was very surprised to see hydroponic farming, urban centers.
Uh-huh.
Uh, this is a very, very economical way of ensuring good quality vegetation being
Yeah.
produced at a very low cost. And this is something that our government, I mean, budgets of the agricultural ministry and the health ministry can be used together to come up with a solution that can tackle this problem. Because from what you said is that our Gen Alpha and Gen Beta going forward are at very high risk of developing these serious diseases, and the current health structure in place in Kenya is never going to be able to deal with them. I mean, a good example would be when UK realized that lung cancer was caused by smoking. They actually provided electronic cigarettes on NHS. Like, you could go into a pharmacy and get electronic cigarette for very cheap if you gave up smoking. Things like that, preventive measures, so that you don't reach that stage where you would need that intensive care later on. Hydroponic farming is a very good and cost-effective way of farming. Even it can be scaled, large scale. It can be done in arid areas like the northeastern and the north of Kenya. So it
Yeah.
has a lot of
I've
potential.
done it. I've done one with the Food and Agricultural Organization, Kakuma Refugee Camp. It was a 1 year project and it was very successful. Hydroponic farming, though now, now like June, what June is saying is the policy the government has, let's agree that the government do not have preventive policy on a range of things. I mean, they do not have any proper policy on preventive healthcare. And when you talk of preventive healthcare, you talk of health promotion, and part of health promotion is actually under food and nutrition. And that is one part that our government has not been able to put a lot of weight on. Actually, our focus is majority is we only make a lot of effort in our country when already you have cancer. And you know, part of the problem now we are facing is the lands are getting degraded. Like you are saying in northern part of Kenya, where I was doing hydroponic. Maybe for so many people who do not understand hydroponic, hydroponic is a method in which you use a solution to germinate and grow plants in an incubator, kind of a container. Then that plant is monitored, and even at the end of the day, it comes out to have all the necessary nutrients that then do not have any detrimental effect to them. So generally, that is what hydroponic farming. When the government has proper policies on food security, then issues of environmental considerations and of course the whole food chain production, that is from the farm, a lot of factors to be considered. Like now you see, the public are not aware, you know, even this period of time that we were having fake fertilizer actually being sold to the public. They were not aware, and you see, that shows you reason why, as much as in Africa we have a proper environment where we actually having all the necessary factors. When you talk of sunlight, when you talk of rain, I think Africa is one of the beautiful continents receiving rain seasonally. We cannot still be able to contain some of these medical complications, like, you know, nervous system disorders, mental or psychiatric conditions, as well as terminal illnesses like cancer. Because the government, I think now moving forward, and this is something that actually Dr. Mary is aware of, the PS, that majority of people, especially in regions of Meru, are not dying because they are consuming bad foods, but actually they are dying because what they are consuming from the food they eat. You see, not the food that they eat, what they are consuming from the food they eat. And that comes because the government is controlled by cartels. They supply substandard fertilizers that have chemicals that pose a lot of detrimental effects to human life. But you see now, because of lack of education or health promotion or civic education on productive agricultural practices, people end up growing crops and then using chemicals that then at the end of the day would multiply, have a lot of multiplication effect on prevalence or incidence rate of cancer. So when you talk of cancer and any other nervous conditions, and let it be known that the food we consume directly have a negative or positive effect to our nervous system. Let it be known. Any food you consume will have either positive or negative effect direct to your nervous system if you leave alone other systems. And when your nervous system is affected, then it means even the cognitive development goes down. Now you can understand that it is a very emotive topic when you talk of food security and all that surrounds it. Your children cannot be able to get proper education. I mean, the cognitive development from birth goes completely down in an environment where either one, the children do not receive enough nutrients. That means the food they consume foods that provide one nutrient for a long time. So they receive one nutrient the whole year and then develop what we call hidden hunger. Hidden hunger is where the children now do not have enough nutrients to be able to supply electrolytes or right chemicals that then would need important things like cognitive development, movement, and all these things to come in place. So it is a long topic, but I agree with you that we need to discuss very concretively and very imperatively the issues surrounding measures that then we can be able to take to make our food production chain, effective in such a way that at the end of the day we don't have any negative effect to the final consumer.
If if I may just add to what you said, we know that getting funding from our government is an uphill task. What alternatives we can seek is that governments like Germany or the Western world, they are looking at helping Africa. Maybe some of those funding we can direct towards hydroponics in such areas like Kibra, as a pilot project. And if, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert in foreign funding, but this is one way where maybe we can open our government's eyes that look, this thing works, and you need to invest more here. I don't know, something that can be thought about.
That is very true. Hydroponics is a good idea. Environmentally, it saves a lot. So I really agree with you. I'm taking notes. So maybe when I meet I meet PS on some occasions, can always be able to throw this to her to be in a position to take it up. But hydroponics and organic farming, I directly agree with you that it can really reduce the burden of cancer and any other iatrogenic effect of medical conditions that we receive from. So maybe I would give Diplomat. Do you have something to tell us? Diplomat?
Okay, well, you can give somebody else, then after one or two, I will be able to make my contribution. Thank you.
Great, that's great. On Sando, do you have something for us? On Sando? On Sando seems to have gone back to the bed. Geoffrey?
Yeah, as they come in, yeah, guys, it is a pressure point. Evening, night, wherever you are, we are just catching up for 3 hours to know your wellness and everything. But also, the topic has come up. I was talking to Dietary here, was telling him that we are planning to have um, a conversation around environment and food security, because many people hear rumors, but we want to have these facts. So we are thinking that soon and very soon, maybe after this Sunday, we will have that, and we're going to have many expertise coming on board. There are so many people. So these are the pressure point issues that we want to we look into as going forward in our conversation as we've been doing that. So June, thank you so much. I like your views and how you're trying to address this issue, and we're gonna have a long topic, and it will be one of the topics that we'll be discussing in our platform going forward. And thank you so much. Back to you, Dr.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm trying to add, maybe you can add Dr. James. Dr. James, you have something? Yeah.
Emma Baba, umeshindaje?
How are you?
I'm good, bro. How are you doing?
I'm very well. I have a question for Liz. Is Liz active?
Yes, I am.
Liz, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Dr. James.
Are you food secure?
In 2 miles, take exit 4 for...
Food secure?
Yes, are you food secure?
Well, I think you cannot say you're fully food secure at this time, because everywhere you go, you have like everywhere you go, you find there's organic and the other one that is not labeled organic, right?
I love that question.
and even the one that is labeled organic, you're still not sure if that is food that has come from the right place or has been grown or prepared the right way. So I can't say at this time we are food secure, especially being in the United States. I still believe that people in Kenya still have access to, if the system does not implement these new laws and bills that are coming up, people in Kenya still have opportunities to grow their own food, consume the right kind of food. And so where I am right now, I would say we are not fully food secure. Majorly, the food is available, but it's not the right kind of food that you'd say you're food secure.
Wow, Dr. James, your question has been answered, or you have something to
Yes.
add?
Yes, no, it's been answered. I was just wondering also what the correlation is between sleep patterns and food security. Because yesterday I was in a forum and we were having so much fun and laughing so much. Now I'm wondering if the food security issue and the laughter yesterday. Anyway, no, don't mind me. Liz, thank you very much for letting me know what you think about food security, and I'll just kick it back to the cause. Asante sana.
I love that kind of energy you have. It seems you are even on a plane. But it is important that you can take your time. Now, Liz.
Wait, AJ. So the plane has GPS directions.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
it
might
does.
not.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. My question is, guys, a simple question.
Yeah, just go on. Oh, who's talking? On Sango is the one talking? Okay, I think the person who was talking has again muted. But
Yeah, on that was
Nani,
that the airplane is also
yeah,
has stress.
ati ndege ikifika Mogadishu nasema turn left towards Kenya.
very
Iki-
interesting.
ikifika ikienda Kabunde inasema bwana turn right.
You
No,
people
no,
here.
no, 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 no.
On
Listen,
Sunday
guys.
umetupanga bwana.
No, no, listen, guys. The GPS in the aeroplanes do not work that way, okay? Because number one, the destination is already fixed on the aeroplane, so it's not going to ask you to turn right or left. Remember, the GPS only works according to the destination which you key in, okay?
Mhm.
So, anyways, because actually the GPS can still work whether you are online or offline. As long as you have it already set up, it will
Mm,
take you to the location. It doesn't need the internet. Now, my
mm,
question is, actually, I've been very, very concerned about this whole thing about the GMO. Um, I understand that the villages where I come from, the only thing that probably that has reached there that is GMO is maize because of this Ruto regime, how they are trying to get rid of the regeneration of the seeds that people are planting now dead seeds. But for the greens, like we can reuse the same greens that we're using to regrow them. They haven't figured that out yet. But my question is, there is this narrative that is going around that the GMO reduces the lifespan of human beings. Um, my great grandparents or my grandparent lived for approximately 90 years. Um, he never used any GMO. Uh, what is the chance? What is the chance of me living more than 90 years, considering the place where I live, 50% of the food I consume is GMO? So should I start feeling sorry for myself, or Is that something that I should be worried about? To the doctors, please. Thanks.
Quite. I don't know if you can hear me. Just trying, my phone has hanged. Can you hear me?
So unaongea peke yako, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I'm very sorry for that. You can hear me?
Yeah, me, I can hear you. On Sunday, do you hear? Can you hear Jay?
Now,
Yeah,
what is
yes, I
GMO?
can hear you.
What is GMO? GMO in full is genetically modified organisms. Okay? That means you change the initial characteristics of an organism. And when you talk of an organism is something that has life and natural life, for example. Even they say in biology, they say vehicles can move, but then they don't have life. But in this case, we are talking of natural life. So when talk of GMO, then the original the original makeup, let me use that term to just not to confuse, but the original modification of an organism is changed sporadically, or spontaneously to make it fit for human consumption. And the organism has been modified. Like, for example, if Nani is in US, June, cornstarch are actually made from corn. Okay? And when corn is not consumed much, but you can make cornstarch. You can actually modify through genetic process a corn to make a cornstarch. The implication, or the medical implication, is on the genetic makeup. And that is why it is said not everyone can consume GMO modified foods, because at some point, and this is what I was saying before, that our body is designed in, our DNA is not the same. So when you are consuming what I eat or what I consume, a GMO I consume might not fit better for you. But the bottom line is, under what criteria do they meet the critical requirements for them to be, modified? Under what environment, under what chemicals are used? That is why we drew the line. All GMOs are not bad, but what process do they take for them to be made? And that is why people will make rumors. Rumors are good. Some of them are very true, but people will make rumors out of GMOs being one of the tools to reduce humankind. But the bottom line is, what you are consuming is made, even if it is genetically, but how is it manufactured? What are the critical control points, the CCPs that are involved to eventually you come up with that product in the shelves of the supermarket? So it depends on the process. By the way, it is important to know the food that you finally consume on the table has to go through a food production chain. That chain is what actually we are talking about here. And that chain is affected by so many things. Environment plays 50% role in affecting what you consume. The chain of human production also affect it, especially on transport, chemical implications on it, the content on the chemicals. And so these GMOs, majority of them are actually modified using chemicals. So when you talk of they are killing, the question is, under what critical control points or criteria are the food you are consuming being actually modified? Dr. James, you have, I don't know if you can help me further. I can see your hand.
Thank you, Dr. AJO. I'm glad that you've responded to this question in a very moderate manner, because in most cases when the issue of GMO, and I don't know how far you guys have gotten in this discussion, when the issue of GMO comes up, people have usually really go too emotional and do not face the issue as it is. I think that there's too much propaganda either way, on the positive side or plus side or on the negative side that is against GMO. So I think it's just too skewed to one end. You never have a balanced discussion that like you just leveled. So I want to assure us on Sando that of the things that impact his longevity or his lifespan, GMO is the least of his worries. And I'll repeat that for anybody in this chat. This is just honest truth. Of the number of things, and I don't know what you guys have said before. If you've said that it does, then I'm against it. It's one of the smallest things that impact your longevity. In fact, if you think about your longevity, think about your food and diet in general, right? Think about exercising, think about happiness, think about social support, think about socioeconomic status, those things, and your mom's longevity, not your dad, your mom and grandma's longevity. So if you have those factors together, if your grandma lived to, let's say, 90, your mom lives to, let's say, 95, you're more likely, I'm not saying you will, but you're more likely to live to those years if things remain constant. That is, if you eat right, you stay away from risky health behaviors like smoking and things like that, you live that long. So GMO is the least of your worries on Sando. Sando is not Daktari.
In fact, let me just add a few things on it, Dr. James. Science tells us that you are what you consume as food, but the longevity of your life is your lifestyle. Okay, so the issue, as he has said, the issue GMO is one of the very least consideration, but I want us to know, because we are in a very good session of understanding. We have to understand. I want you people moving forward to now learn that what you consume you need to assess. Okay, that is why scientifically even the KEBS, there are KEBS standard on every food you buy. Okay? So before you consume any food, check the nutritional content and the chemical content in that food. That will then prevent you from getting a lot of misguided information on certain.
Marceline, please mute your mic.
Follow me.
Oh, we're gonna follow you, Marcel. We're gonna follow you. You have something to say so that.
Marceline, AJO, could you please mute Marceline?
Marceline, we cannot do that. I don't know what is wrong with you. We cannot do that. Why do you raise up your hand and at the same time you are talking? Okay, Dr. AJ, go ahead.
Quite interesting. So I was just supporting Dr. James on the same. I hope
follow me.
You have gotten it right. June, you have something to add?
Yes, I just wanted to concur with both of you. I remember I live in Canada, by the way, not the US. And when I came here for my master's degree, one of the topics that we had to write on was actually GMO versus, non-GMO foods, and particularly if you should label it or not label it. Because here in Canada, they only label organic foods. They don't label, GMO foods. Only organic foods. So, of course, it's a very controversial topic. So I just want to agree with that. I also want to agree that your longevity is not determined by whether you're eating GMO or organic foods or, non-GMO foods. It's actually determined by definitely, your lifestyle. So you're talking about your alcohol consumption, physical activity, diet. Now, when it comes to diet and nutrition, it's about your macro and micronutrients. What are those nutrients that you're eating, that you're actually putting in food? It's not the amount of food. It's not whether it's GMO or not, but it's actually the nutrients, micro and macro, that you're actually putting in your bodies. Now, I'm not sure whether you folks remember. I remember it's quite a long time ago. There was this pilot study that was done in some part of Asia. I think I'm not sure whether it's Indonesia, but anyway, one of those countries where children were.
I remember it. I remember.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
because vitamin D, vitamin A, there were vitamin A deficient, most of the children.
Yeah.
And because in this country they ate a lot of rice, the pilot was about, genetically modified rice that would have vitamin A, correct? To try and address the deficiency of vitamin A in these people. I don't remember reading the results of the study itself afterwards. I'm not sure whether it was scaled up or not. It's because it was just a pilot, but it's just one of those examples where GMO will not kill you. Most of us here, anyways, we eat a lot of GMO. We try not to, but we try as much as possible to understand, what am I eating? What kind of nutrients am I putting into my body? As Dietary said, at the end of the day, whatever you actually put in your body is actually who you are. It determines so much about, how you behave. So you're talking about mental health, you're talking about your physical health, you're talking about emotional health. All those holistic components of your health are determined by what goes into your GIT. So it's very, very important that you're mindful of that whenever you're actually, especially those of us who are here, whenever you go buy food, you actually read the nutrient labels are behind everything that you're buying, just to make sure that you're not eating those bad chemicals that Doc was talking about, but you're actually eating healthy food that nourishes you, right? It's also about how you cook your food. How do you cook your food? How ripe is your banana by the time you actually eat it? Those little things, I think we need more education around these concepts so that we're not fighting about GMO versus non-GMO. We're actually fighting about what is the kind of food that we're actually putting into our systems. So that's just my contribution. Thank you so much.
Quite amazing. We got to have you here, June. That is a very good public health background you have. Now, before I give mic to either, you can just raise your. I don't know. Marceline has disappeared again after we had followed her, Germany. That is so.
Well,
He has gone already.
Ejeo, Madeline was like, follow me. Ana content, achana na
I think she has disappeared all of a sudden after even following her. Anyway, we live with. Now, I just wanted to add on what Dr. James asked a very important question. It looks a very, how do I call it? It is looks a very funny question, but with a very heavy burden on it. Dr. James asked a question, asked June a question: are you food secure? And that is a very important topic. It can take us the whole day discussing food and nutrition security. When we were starting,
Actually, he was asking Liz.
Liz, eh? Oh, yeah. So I just wanted to add on something on what Liz said. And this is what I was trying to educate my elder brother, Hilary, on the difference between nutrition and nutrition security and food security. Now, imperative to know that question Dr. James has asked, is what is affecting us at individual level, at the community level. In fact, it is affecting the whole food production chain because it also has an effect on the government policies. Now, just to answer it quickly, food security means four things. Liz, now I think now you will I will add this so that we can get all of us. We actually benefit all of us. It means four things, and I don't know if Dr. James has a background on agricultural economics because that question is so hidden, and many people when they are asked food, are you food secure? They start saying that no, I have a lot of food in my fridge. In fact, I'm the most food secure human being in heaven and on earth. But the truth of the matter is, what does it mean to be food secure? There are things so they can't access it. The other thing is affordability, so they can't access it. The other thing is affordability. If it is accessible, it is available, then it breaks the monopoly of hunger. So it means it is affordable. And then, is it acceptable? Acceptability. So when you talk of food security, then those four pillars are very important. So Please check around your area. If you have all this, then it means you are food secure. And it is good Dr. James has brought that, because that is what we don't know, majority of us. When you are food secure, those four pillars, the four A's, are very important. The food has to be affordable, it has to be available, it has to be accessible, and it has to be the other one ni gani? It has to be acceptable. Very, very important and very, very key. On the other end, when you talk of nutrition security, or let me say, nutrition security exists when there is whether there is food security or food insecurity. What it simply means is, from the word nutrition, you can be able to get nutrients. Nutrients is what now goes direct to our body to impact our body. In fact, they say it nourish. Nutrient is a chemical compound extracted from food. So the food you consume, you can be eating, and I know Dr. James, you know this back at home. Someone can consume a whole gorogoro of ugali, and with a whole mbota, a tilapia yote kwa sufuria mzima, na anakuwa ameshiba. And then you notice this person will be consuming this food every single day. Like where I come from, we almost take samaki every day. So the problems come in when your parents are telling you, but si kuna chakula ya kutosha, and then it is the same food every day. That means you have nutrition insecurity, because you consume the same food every day, and you get the same nutrients and every day, and the body has just a few capacity. The body can only hold a certain level of nutrients. If it is vitamin A, there is a level in which your body, according to your body size composition, your body composition can only accommodate a certain level of vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin E, vitamin D. So it is very important. You can be food secure, but you can be nutrient insecure. Very, very important. So let's go on. I think I've answered that. I don't know if Diplomat is on board, or Masimba.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Diplomat.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think you've made an elaborative presentation on availability of foods, the issues to do with nutrients. So I think I have to give you a thumb on that. It's a very nice presentation. I wish this was televised. I think most of the people we have today, we are suffering because of lack of knowledge of these key matters, and they are crucial and important. Let me handle this matter here. I have an issue that I really need to bring on our board, so that maybe we get some directions on the same. And I hope I'm audible enough.
Yeah, we can get you clearly, Diplomat.
Okay, thank you. So
You have an issue you are handling down back at where you are?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
But I have a concern.
I cannot hear him though. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Liz. We can hear you very well.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I cannot hear Diplomat speaking.
You cannot hear me?
Diplomat, you can turn that plane on the right GPS so that at least Liz and any
No. If we're all hearing diplomat, that means Liz is not Wi-Fi secure. You, Liz, go down and then come back. If the rest of us can hear diplomat, it's not diplomat's problem.
Thank you
Wow,
for telling
that's
me.
bigger that Dr. James has on. So, Diplomat, you can talk so that maybe confirm whether Liz is getting you.
Okay.
Just go on.
Okay. The issue that I have, and the issue that I need us to, maybe the specialists we have here to give us some information about and some insights on the same. I want to talk about the issue to do with the dairy brands and products. And I don't know whether somebody had handled that prior I joined the meeting, but let me tell you what I have here. There has been a concern over the last days concerning the dairy products we are getting in our supermarkets, in our Carrefour, and the rest. And then I had a chat and that discussion with some of my friends, and they were kind of telling me that the Savers dairy product is a biofood. And they were telling me that I have to run away from other products, yogurts from other dairies, whatever it is. And they were trying to convince me how KEBS is in bed with these companies producing such products. Now, okay, I think there's a great loophole in our nation concerning the standards of the products we're having in the market. And let me talk this one out of experience. While I was in the university, I used to use Jogo Road through OTC. Then I would get to town. And then one time I was passing through Bama. One of my friends told me in the evening you can pass by Bama. You can get with your 70 bob or 100 shillings. You can get a sizable quantity of meat. Then one day we passed, I think it was my second day, and I was not lucky enough. So I had 100 shillings and I went inside, and the quantity of the meat that was wrapped in the paper bag, I'm telling you, I was surprised. So I was preparing my stomach that evening, and all my appetite, I was going to have a yummy dinner. I used to stay at Bahati. Then the moment I put I put the meat to a sufuria so that I can boil it fast, it all came up, and the meat was escaping. It was omanyaring from the sufuria. It wanted to do 100 meters. And then I had a true story. I had a Maasai neighbor, and then I called him and asked him, why is it that this meat is behaving like this? I've just put it in the sufuria. It has boiled. The meat is almost coming out. I don't know. It is not settling down. It has turned all white. And the Maasai guy was able to tell me, you know what, Joseph, I think you have a mangi piece here. I'm telling you guys, the only security I had was to take the sufuria away from the house. I threw it to the dustbin together with the contents. That's how I was so afraid. And then I was asking myself, if really it is okay, I cannot prove that it was a monkey or it was a squirrel, whichever thing it was. How it got to Bama, that tells me that we have loopholes, myriad of loopholes in our markets, that anything that has not tested and tried can still have its way on our markets. And I'm very much worried about the dairy products that we have. And then Golden Africa. Then there's a time they came and introduced garlic, Golden Africa oil. So that thing was testing something else, and I was really looking for the ideal test for garlic. And I was asking myself, is this real garlic? All these guys have added something here. Then to sum up, so that I can draw the ball and to specialists those are here so that they may give us an answer. In 2019, my friend took me to a doctor in Kikuyu town, Dr. Remy. Dr. Remy happens to be, he was a doctor in the US. This is what he told me. I've not, I didn't, I cannot prove whether it was true or not, but this is what he told me. That while they were in the US, they, together with some other African scholars, they came up with a medication they believed it could help in the cure of AIDS. And when they were realized to have made such a innovation in the medical world, then the guys were being handed down. So that's how the guy ran to Kenya. He's from DRC Congo. Actually, he's not a Kenyan. So I paid him a visit there in 2019. That was my first time. And then I sat down with Dr. Remy, and he took me through throughout the night. He was able to tell me, you know what? When you are consuming this and this is what you are consuming. And then we went to his own laboratory that he has made in his own house from where he was renting. He had a big apartment in Kikuyu town. And the guy realized he's only using greens, which he has grown in his own compound. He does not buy anything from the market. It totally depends on everything that he has grown in his compound. And what Dr. Remy told me, to make a summary, he told me we are putting chemicals in our bodies, especially in Kenya, because what most people are trying to do is they want to make money at the expense of the health of other people. Now, from where I'm staying here in Sabaki, in Mombasa Road, I don't know whether am I the first person I've ever experienced this. Most of the times, I'm a single man. I'm not married. So when I go to the market and I'm getting some potatoes to come and prepare my dinner, or whatever, if I try to test those tomatoes, because after I chop them to little pieces, as a man, as a black man, you throw a piece onto your mouth to know whether that tomato is okay, and then you just taste a very funny smell of a chemical. You know, I when I was growing up in the rural areas, I was able to get to know the smells of those foliar and whatever. So you just taste a foliar smell inside the tomato, and then you wonder, is this thing really very safe? So I think let me first stop there. I think I have some other questions, but let me first stop there. And I think doctor, alongside the rest, you can let's. And I think we'll be systematic on that.
Wow, thank you so much. It is good a single man can come at this time and just open up. June, there is a single man here. If you are not married, you cannot.
Very funny.
But let me just help you. I don't know. I was laughing because your meat must have been formalinated. Wanaweza kuwa wameongeza because we preserve bodies using formalin. And when you preserve bodies, the effect you get is that when you finally put that body in a in a warm environment, you
Wait. How do you know? Have you boiled a preserved body before?
yeah, I'm in the medical profession.
Where Jibu? Yes or no? Have you boiled a preserved body?
Yes, we do it in our medical profession. When you are doing mortuary science, actually we do everything with the human body, Dietary. So it is something we know even the effect of formalin. But Dr. James, I know Ion is a long topic. We can inbox me and then.
Mayo, no. I don't want to inbox you. You'll boil me. Anyway, answer the question.
Let me handle that question faster. Now, one cardinal thing we all need to know is I always say, like, the person who is supplying for me food is someone I know. Because now, for example, if you are staying in Nairobi, sorry, June, you are staying in Canada, I don't know whether you see the products that finally comes to you as a consumer, where they come from and the source. But it is very, very important. This much of the things we do advise people that at least know your supplier, and when you know your supplier, you know where the products are coming from. Because literally, many people in Nairobi are consuming sukuma wiki that are actually derived from very toxic environments that have very high carcinogenic exposure to human life, you know. And it is very important that from vegetables to dairy products to anything you consume, you know what you consume, you are what you consume. So when you consume what you know and the source is much very important. My products come from limited supplier, so it is always very important that you know the person supplying your products. On the issue of preservation of meat is preserved using sodium chloride, or you can use seasonings. You can use potassium sulfate, but in that case, and I want to connect this with Kenya Bureau of Standard. It is true, under standardization's policies, all products that are consumed get themselves in the market, in a commercial market, are supposed to pass through KEBS. The unfortunate bit is, the unfortunate bits are, this is the truth, is that some of those products, especially milk, majority of them do not pass through Kenya Bureau of Standard, and this is very important. The only one I know is Brookside, which actually goes through that process. Actually, that all that SOP of production. But majority of milk we consume actually do not go beyond the KEBS, and that makes you now know. It is important to know when you see a product that is not labeled, the nutritional content is not labeled, be very careful with that product. And this is something now moving forward we all need to know, that when you move forward and you are in the supermarket, you see Mount Kenya milk or what this type of milk. I'm not saying it is bad, but I'm just giving example. Any milk that whose packet is plain, know that the chemical preservative, or the preservative in it might not be the average content that is expected over human consumption. So it is always very important. It can also even help you to take a legal way in case you have had any negative effect. So I hope that's okay, diplomat. Maybe
Before you
Dr.
continue from there,
Consango has an answer on the same.
Yeah. I have a question about the gentleman who said there is a guy who was being chased from the U.S. for the cure of AIDS. Now, question is, now that the guy is in Africa, nobody's after his neck or anything. What happened to the formula, or was he just, lying? Like, I mean, you should still have the formula, right?
okay. I think I will answer that. What happens with Dr. Remy, since I've been at his place and at his laboratory for some time, the cure, the formula is still there, but the requirements for the medication to finally be packaged is very expensive. And it happens that what he has been telling me that the amount of funds required for such a thing to go through is a very huge amount of money, which is at the moment not available. And he has told me that he has tried to contact some organization and they are off. They actually don't want to associate with him at such a thing. And so that's what he told me. But the formula is still there. He has given me his books. I've read his books, and is something I can commend.
Wow, that's interesting to hear that.
So, doctor, before you answer the other questions I had raised, so kindly,
Yeah.
please bear with me. I've said I'm a single young man, and I don't
Oh,
want to be piling chemicals in my house. So now you talked something about the contents in the packaging of a milk. Eh?
hmm.
So which brands can you advise?
Where I sit, I can advise Brookside,
Oh, thank you.
because I
That's
know
the
they
person
go
I have
through the
at
SOP.
hand.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I've known Brookside with they take care of all the SOP of production.
mhm,
These are the ones, but the bottom line actually is when you get into a supermarket and you consider any food that is not labeled as a detrimental effect to your
mhm,
body, because the reason why they don't label the nutritional values of those food is that there is
mhm,
something they are hiding. I saw a friend of mine today was telling me, no, I've just nini my tea and nimeharibika, and
mhm,
the expiry date of this food product of this milk was supposed to be in September. Now,
mhm.
so and I asked him, have you checked the packet? Does it have any? It is always very important that you check the nutritional values. It can also help you to take a legal route when need be, especially when you have received a negative effect on consumption.
Sure. Okay. So you can continue with the rest of the questions so that I can ask you the other major questions I have about the first joint foods joins in Nairobi. I think I have a big question on that. But meanwhile, you can just tackle, and I see some hands being raised. You can handle if there are concerns also.
Sure. Thanks so much. I will start with Dr. James, then I go to June, and then on Sanga.
Actually, because June hasn't talked a lot, let's have the lady talk first. June, talk, and then I'll go after you.
Oh, thanks for that.
Oh,
Being
thanks, Doc.
sensitive of June.
No, I wouldn't mind at all. But anyway, I think one thing that I wanted to mention though, initially, when I was contributing, I mentioned, we need upstream policies, as well as downstream policies. This culture of deceit, basically just disregard to the rule of law, disregard to integrity, disregard to transparency and standardized processes in the way we do things, corruption in places like, agencies like KBS and others, is some of the reasons that we're in the space that we are right now. Now, it is true that people
Did we lose her?
Yeah,
June,
we
I
can.
think.
Yeah.
June, your GPS has just changed. I don't know if anyone can hear her. June?
No, we cannot.
Maybe she's receiving a call. While we wait, I'll put my 2 cents here so that we cover the dead air.
Sure.
Number one, I want to bring the temperature down a little bit, because we have to be very careful that, and I said this earlier, that when we talk about food and products, there's always an over-centralization. We over-centralize the issue of, oh, they want to kill us. We really do. And we have to be careful about that. I want to say that if the government needs us for tax, they're not going to let us die. They're not going to let us die. So there's the cabs really does do a good job when, this is the caveat, when food products are passed through them. That's very important. So if it goes through them, they're going to do a good job. So sometimes let's not wail like the sky's falling before really the sky does fall. So there are issues, yes. So for example, I'm going to highlight the issues that Diplomat was kind of getting to. Number one, Big Pharma is a fraud. It's a business making industry. So we know that. Big Pharmaceutical, for example, there's no way diabetes drugs in Kenya should be like 2K, 3K, and that's just ridiculous, right? For one shot, right? For one little tube of diabetes, that's too much. But that's an example to show you that Big Pharma is not always wanting the best for us. They want to keep the formulas, they want to make sure they make the most money, etc. Number two, we know that there are fraudulent politicians and doctors who bring in bad medicine or expired medicine. Again, we know. We also know that there are food products that are passed through the borders that are not effective. Again, we know. But with all those issues combined, Diplomat, even the issue of sukuma being grown in a bad area, we also know that. But the percentage of good food in the Kenyan market, not American market, in the Kenyan African market is higher by a big margin than the percentage of bad food in the market. So you as the bachelor, you said you normally go to the market. I encourage you to keep going to the market, not to the supermarket. There's a difference. Go to the open air market, because there's a probability that there's a mom who has brought hamburger there from her own garden because she has surplus. You understand? So that's where I'm actually building on AJ's point of, do you know your supplier? If the mamamboga there is a mamamboga who grows some or even whoever brought it from some place which you know. In fact, one of the biggest indicators of food security and food wellness and health is the distance between the farmer and you. If that distance is small, then you're good. You're probably, your chances are high that you're going to eat good food, and that is still the case in Kenya. So While this friend of yours talked about the dairy products, is there a possibility that there's bad products in the market? Yes. But how big of that percentage is there, or how big is that probability that is going to impact you, diplomat's life, tomorrow when you go to buy that thing from Naivas? Very slim. Okay, so I'm actually encouraging you not to worry about the yogurt you're going to drink tomorrow. Go drink it. In fact, if you're really scared in terms of milk products, dairy products, they always say that pasteurized milk is probably one of the safest because of what it goes through to be produced. So if you're really scared, then go the pasteurized way because of the way it's created. That's the one thing I wanted to say in general. Another thing I wanted to say is that when you're really serious about your food, stay away from people who want to create theories and create like
In
propaganda.
Mile, keep left
Stay very close to the middle. I apologize for my GPS. I'm driving. Stay close to the middle and do your own research. Don't let someone sway you just because they have an agenda or they have a vendetta against a politician, against cabs, just do your math. Plant your own food if you can, but if you cannot, eat local. Asanteni sana.
Wow, wow. I'm really grateful for Dr. James. If you can take your time and be with us and at the same time drive, I'm really, really grateful and really, really grateful of the kind of brilliant brain you have and those kind of responses. Now, he has said something very important. Let's all agree, even as we are talking of the production chain of food and the factors surrounding all that chain, one, I've noticed we have actually put a lot of weight on the end product and the contents of the end product, but it is as I said earlier, it is an emotive discussion because what you consume is your life. You become brilliant because of what you consume. Your child, that young child that is there, the cognitive development is influenced by what she's consuming from the time from the time of delivery. So it is a very emotive process that begins from production, transportation, preparation, and all those processes. And as Hilary said, that we're gonna have a very big, multifaceted dissections on this next week. Hilary, did you say next week?
Yeah,
And
after
so,
this weekend, the other weekend, we're going to have expertise on environment and food security, and we want to hear what they're saying and also
yeah,
what we understand, because there's a lot of rumors, what we are discussing. And I think that's where we started today, that there's a lot of rumors of so many things, and we want to have facts going forward and how these things affect us, because many people just hear stories, they hear stories. So we'll have many experts on Sunday, doctors, environmentalists, and plus others who uh, will share more
great.
terms of that. Yeah. Mm.
That's cool. Yeah, so I just wanted to inform Diplomat that the same way Dr. James has said, check if in the shelves, if you have, so long as you have seen milk that is pasteurized or sterilized, sterilized, pasteurized, sterilized, those terms are used in a UHT process, that process of processing the milk. So it is very, very important that you always check on the labels. Foods have nutritional informations, especially those ones that have gone through the KEBS standardizations. So on Sango, you have something to Nini? I think it's also so someone here, I think he has actually dropped. It is night, so people might be.
Dr. Dr. Ajo.
Yeah, Masimba. Yeah.
Actually, I haven't raised the hand, but I'm waiting maybe the modality of.
Okay.
Because I'm not a doctor, anyways. I wanted to say something. Yeah.
That's absolute. You can go on. Then we come back to on Sunday.
Yeah, number one, a disclaimer: I'm not a doctor, so I may not be competent to discuss about food security, but it is something which impacts everybody. So I'm not talking necessarily about nutrition, but what Dr. James has touched about the what you call the like misinformation, like like this big pharmacy, they're after killing people. Personally, I don't believe so, but food consumption is a matter of conscience and judgment. Why I'm saying so, because mostly where I live, I see in the supermarket there is frog legs. I don't like it, but the Chinese, it's a very good delicacy. So it's a matter of conscience and judgment when it comes to food. Whatever you deem poison, to the other is not poison. So, coming down to food security, the question that James asked about are we food secure or are you food secure? I do believe there are three major factors which has contributed to food security necessarily when it comes to control. Number one is immigration and conflict and industrialization. Now people are moving to urban center, and because they are moving to urban center, because of civilization and industrialization, somebody has to take care of their food. Now, food being number one need after maybe before housing and clothing, it's a big time problem any government can tackle when it comes to policy formulation, implementation, and regulations. So since food is an issue, is a problem which needs to be solved necessarily when we are in a community whereby individually we don't produce food, somebody has to produce it for ourselves, then there are ill motives behind those people who are major players, and that's why pharmaceuticals, yes, they come in. And they come in, I'm saying this, they come in when it comes to policy, formulation, and lobbying, something which can tilt into their favor when it comes to profit margins. And therefore, sometimes you may not know where the food came from. The same way, Ajo, you just said that the sukuma wiki, which is planted along the sewer systems. The food, when you go to the market, you don't know whether it comes from there, but you are consuming it anyways. It's because you are not controlling what you're consuming. Somebody is controlling it, bringing it to the market, and then you go buy it. Now, in Kenya, we have already seen Agriculture the Act. It is taking away the capability and ability for small farmers to control their farming activities. This is the same thing that was run actually 2021 in India, where they are running this campaign, no farmers, no food, right? So because of these big companies, they wanted to take away the role of small farmers so that they can control food security. In that sense, that's where Kenya we are headed. And I think as much as we don't control what you consume, it's a matter of judgment and conscience. You may not even know. The thing is, we need to live right and hope for the best. And at the end of the day, guys, let me tell you, the grace of God is sufficient. Sometimes we survive poison because of the grace of God. Now, coming to the information that you are giving, I'm so excited that you guys, as professionals, doctors, you're giving appropriate information, encouragement, and also caution on how individually we can take care of our health. And finally, I just want to say this. For those who do not eat meat, because, for example, we know the meat industry, because of too much of antibiotics being fed to animals, there is resistance thereof, which is really transferred to our bodies, and you find that your body is resistant to antibiotics. So there are some people who are not consuming meat. Let me say this. consuming meat or not consuming meat may not make you live like Methuselah, you know. What I'm saying is if you die at 40s, 50s, but you die because not because of lifestyle diseases, then there is a purpose, because you can live healthy and then you have an accident. So I'm just saying the motive behind nutrition and how we can take care of nutrition is not to live necessarily longer, because disease is a means to die. You can die in any other way, you know. But whatever that we are doing it in order to promote what God has given us as a natural remedy when it comes to organic products. Thank you.
Wow, that is a very brilliant submission over there. So just to add on something, what he's talking about is actually one of the factors that influence food choice. And one of those factors is social interactions and social behaviors. So as I said, food is broad. Actually, what he's talking about is falling under cultural and social behaviors. And it is also one of the things that actually literally affect what we consume and how we depend on food every day. I have deliberately given all of you the mic. This is one of the discussions apart from politics that majority of us needs to get right. And if you have this opportunity, I give you I've given you Rosemary, Neva, Omondi, Joe, June, Red Crest, and all that. I've been able to give you the mic, so you can just accept and bring forward your submissions. On Sango, your hand has been up. What do you have?
Yes, thanks, Dr. AJOM. Actually, I have a question about the human race. What should which disease or what disease should we be worried about as a human race? Apart from William Ruto and where I live, people think that the white people are a major threat to human race. But seriously speaking, like which disease should we be worried about as a human race? Thanks.
That's quite a very good question. It is important to know that our main worry should actually be on preventive aspect of healthcare delivery. And part of that preventive aspect lies a very great sense of community engagement on proper farming practices. And this includes proper nutrition and food and nutrition. Food and nutrition practices. So it is actually very, very important that we actually focus on a way in which, as part of preventive healthcare or preventive healthcare delivery, we put at the central or focal point the aspect of making it community interventions to teach our people on how do we literally be able to plant, even if it is kitchen gardening, how do we do it if it is hydroponics, how do we do it, and some of the simple ways of just generating what eventually we consume. Masimba, do you have something before I give it back to Hillary? Okay.
Actually, AJ, before you give it back to Hillary, I'll answer Osando using specific diseases that I believe. I'm not saying that these are global statistics or anything like that. I believe we should be really worried about. Number one, especially I'm going to give this in the context of Kenya. I believe that right now cancer is a disease that Kenyans should be very afraid of in the following regard. Number one, we know the global concern about cure of cancer. We know that. But if you really look, in fact, if you were to sample the 30 of us that are here right now, in the last 10 years, we've been impacted by cancer one way or another. That's Kenyans only in this group right now. There's someone in your family who's either been diagnosed with, or who's been very, very sick with, or who's terminally passed away because of it. I'm sorry to say that, but this is really the truth. Number two, other lifestyle diseases like diabetes. Because of life, we've become so sedentary nowadays. We don't move much, we don't eat right. Because of the lifestyle changes, diabetes has become a big concern. Again, that's a disease that every single Kenyan that's in this space right now, an immediate family member, I'm not saying, oh, sijui mtoto ya babu yako kwa side ya mama yako, no. I'm saying your cousin, first cousin, or your own brother or sister, or even your nephew has been impacted by it. Another one, high blood pressure. But again, these are non-communicable diseases that have become a big concern for Kenyans in the present times. Those are just the top three that come to mind. But if I was to answer you specifically, of course, building on what Dr. AJ said, those are diseases that we really need to be careful about moving forward on Sando. Asante sana AJ.
Hey, thanks so much. I always loved such.
Thanks, Dr. James. Enjoy the East Coast Drive.
Yeah. All right. Okay. That was interesting. I almost thought someone is opening my door.
Diabetes, hypertension, but mental health is one of those areas where, first of all, there's a lot of stigma. Second off, people don't even know what it is. Thirdly, there's no much investment in terms of practitioners in the field, and I think that is something that needs to change. Fourth, people cannot afford a therapist, basically. It is almost impossible for people to actually access a therapist, and that is just to add to the stigma that's already there. Now, there's also so much misdiagnosis that goes to mental health. The other bit of it is that everything that goes into our bodies, every interaction that we come to, whether it is physically, emotionally, what you're reading, what you're listening to, they affect our mental health. Trauma, we don't talk about it. It affects our mental health. So in terms of the things that we should really, really be worried about, I think that is an area to begin with. It's also about educating our children on mental health, educating our elders on mental health, taking care of our own mental health before we can even take care of someone else. That concept of, making sure that your cup is filled before you can actually pour it to someone else. So I feel like those are some of the issues that we should actually be investing in as a country, but also very, very much individually. But yeah, thank you.
Very, very important. Mental health is mental health education. I think Hillary has a broad knowledge about this. Mental health education is one of the core pillars of preventive healthcare delivery or healthcare preventive health. And I think in our next submissions, maybe as we'll be discussing the correlations between food security and health, as well as environmental implications on food security, we're gonna dissect part of mental health when we'll be looking at correlationship between food and medical complications. Some of them have been said. We have cancer, we have diabetes, we have hypertension. So I believe it is a topic we're gonna need to dissect in more detail. The only challenge I'm having, why I don't need to stretch my the information now, majority of us might be sleeping, and it is a very core area that will need a lot of time to expand. I've given mic to a range of us, so you can just pick the mic. Don't be afraid, Rosemary. Don't be afraid to. Now, Hillary. Maybe if you can pick it from there. If you have something to put forward. Okay. Okay. Hillary, I think Hillary has taken a nap. You know, these old people, sometimes you find them just sleeping on the chair. And
No, AJ, he's preparing the sermon for tomorrow.
this is an SDA gentleman. Oh,
Yeah, don't be ageist also. You're being an ageist doctor, my friend.
I'm sorry for that. We are sorry, Hillary. Please prepare the sermon because we need you here. Now, Diplomat, do you have something again you want to add?
Yes, I think I have one before we can call it a morning.
Of course, yeah, sure.
So I think there's something here we ought to handle, if not to demystify. And this will be the issue to do with the fast food joints in our, especially in our towns. Okay, I've been around people who have been trying to caution some of our friends we have about good dieting and whatever those things. In as much as those guys, you realize they are not specialists, but I have a good mother of mine who always is telling me, stop taking the maize flour from the supermarket. You need to be doing wheat and whatever. I mean, songa, millet, all those things. And I think I have so many of them at my house, and I find it sometimes it's good for me to use. Sometimes it's very hard, especially for the procedure to prepare. Nevertheless, because you realize most of these people are only acting on speculations. For instance, I have a very big question on the kind of the chicken we are getting, especially from Nairobi, from the CBD. A friend of mine introduced me to this chicken sometimes back while I was in the university, and I realized by the time I was getting to that year, I had an addiction. So, I could just leave the house from Bahati. I would go to town. That is at around 7. Have a chicken there, have some chips, and then I go back again to the house. And then, really, a time came and I asked myself, what am I really doing? Okay, I don't say there was any harm, but I had really to fight with that kind of addiction. So I've had friends, family members, church people who have been telling me, like for instance, there's a common rumor that has been on our streets that the oil being used to fry those chickens and the chips we are getting from town, they say it is from transformer. So I have been asking myself, how can somebody go to collect a transformer oil to come and fry chicken in town? Are they not even mindful that the relatives are going to eat the same things? Then number two, the issue number one is that oil of transformer. Those are speculations I've just been hearing around, and then I've been always saying, so I've been competing with KPLC. So number two, I think somebody's unmuted.
Just go on.
Number two, it is the issue of those chicken in town. Personally, one time when I was taking those chicken, I just observed the size of the bone and the size of the steak, and they were not really adding up. Now the speculation say that those chicken will be subjected to some injections, some syringes with whatever contain. All those stories are all over, and I don't buy them. So I have really a key concern as a question. Okay, explain to me, how is it that very possible that a bone, because the bone was too thin, especially on the thigh, a very small bone, yet carrying such much of weight. So it really didn't add up to me well. Putting in mind that I've grown in the woods from the rural areas, and I know what a bone of a chicken really means. So it really did not settle in my mind. How comes a small bone can be carrying such a big steak over a chicken? And then not even to talk about the rib cage. One day I was out with it, and then that's how I decided I'm running away. So can you kindly clear the air on that? I think if you want that I'll be settled. I think that's the last point I have. Then we can call it a morning.
All right. That's great. Now, there has been a lot of speculation on oil from transformer being used, though there is no scientifically researched paper that we have so far received on transformer oil. But it is important to know that transformer oil, so it can actually sustain um, mm, the absorption of food for a long period of time. And the other aspect you are asking is, and let me just come back. It's important to know transformer oil do not have any serious life threatening to the human body, and I think that is why we use it. Otherwise, when you consume transformer oil, some of the effects you will you need to know. Oh my goodness, what is happening? Someone is making it impossible. So when you consume a food that has been made from transformer oil, you will feel nausea, you will feel vomiting, there is fatigue, weaknesses on the limbs, and of course general body malaise. Those ones you will automatically always once you have taken the food, and especially cholesterol based products that are prepared, especially those foods that you get in the fast food joints, and you feel this kind of symptoms, then automatically you'll know that food for some reasons has been prepared from transformer oil, but it has no life-threatening effect to the extent that you can literally die. The other question you're asking is on which other question you're asking so that I can answer?
The bones of the chicken.
The bones of the chicken, and this things point back to what Dr. James was saying before. The source of what you eat makes it very important. There are so many chemicals that are used to preserve and even increase the size of. Do you know if you give a chicken ARVs, this drug for reactive patients or HIV patients, then it increases actually the cholesterol level, especially first line ARVs, it actually increases cholesterol level in chickens. So in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time, you might notice your chicken has really added weight. So it's all come back to many people use so many methods to entice, the general public, and make them feel like whatever is being consumed is for the first class or middle class members of the society. But at the end of the day, it is very, very important that the food, from the point of production, even those cholesterol high products like the food from the food from joints or even fad foods, it is important that you know what actually are the chemicals that eventually are used to in the process of production. Dr. James, maybe you want to add something?
Yes, I'll be obliged to. Number one, I'm glad that you answered the question about transformer oil seriously, because I was not taking it seriously at all. And I'm glad that you actually gave the chemical and even the medical.
There's a stalled vehicle
I'm
ahead.
so sorry. Every time I start speaking, this GPS wants to talk to me. But the point is that I'm glad you took it seriously. But I want to dispel those rumors, diplomat. Imagine the transformer. Have you seen a transformer? And now think about someone who works at a fast food joint. You want him to go and milk that transformer and come boil your chicken. Come on, let's be honest. Let's be serious. Nobody's doing that. Nobody at all is doing that. First of all, we know that the only person that can go to a transformer and try to play with it is someone who knows about KPLC. So hizo zinaibwangwa na watu wao. Nobody in this group right now would go to a transformer and want to take the oil out of the transformer. So I want to dispel those rumors, number one. Number two, related to what you're saying though, is the important fact here. That fast food joints reuse their oil, or they use a lot of oil in cooking their food. Most of their food are fried, right? Many fast food joints. There are some that are not, like Subway, etc. They don't fry their food, but most of them fry their food. So then the question that you're bringing up, and you mentioned something earlier that I want to touch on, apart from the stuff that the doctor has just talked about. You said that you felt like you were addicted at some point. That is actually something that fast food joints spend a lot of money on to get you addicted. They spend a lot of money, and they use a lot of strategies like psychology. They use colors. They use salt. Hii chumvi tu, they use it. Ukiuma hii kuku yao, it has a different degree, a different gear of salt. Yenye unasema hii narudi kukula kesho. Another thing they use, the levels of tenderness. Another thing they use, music. Another thing they use, free drinks. Free drinks. Oh, if you buy this, you get a quarter of the free drinks. If you buy this, another thing they use, sugar. Another thing they use, free cookies. All those are to get you addicted. Remember now, the end goal. There's a stalled vehicle oh dear ahead. Lord, the end goal is not for you to be. The end goal is money, money. So if money is the end goal, then they'll play you to get addicted. Now, you asked about the quality of the products they sell. Again, if the end goal is money, they don't care how they get there. So what this means is, of course, if the government is serious, like for example, there are some governments that don't allow McDonald's, or if they allow McDonald's, they're going to have very strict measures about these McDonald's. So if the government is serious, so what they do is that if a chicken is supposed to be ready, like you're saying, you're talking about the bones in let's say 1.5 years, they have farms that grow this chicken in less than 6 months. Do you understand? In less than 6 months, they give them the feeds, they overfeed them. This chicken, if you look at them, they cannot even stand. Go to YouTube. If you go to YouTube and look at Food Inc. and look for that movie, you'll never eat any fast food dishes. Why? Because of the way they grow. They literally grow these chickens and these animals like a conveyor belt. Unazaliwa leo, by week number 4 unafaa kuko kwa plate MC. Do you understand how gross that is? So if that's the angle that they're taking, they're not your friends, really, if you think about it. Or to be honest, fast food are not your friend. They're actually doing everything against you. So if you can stay away from fast food, I don't stay away from them. Hata sasa nitasimama hapa karibuni nikule McDonald's. But the point is this: if you can stay away from them, kama uko Kenya na unakula fast food joint, wewe hata sijui nikuambie nini. Kuna so many mantilio unaweza kuingia hivi ukule mahindi, ukule sukari nguru, unaenda fast food joint. Hata nimekazirika na wewe. Anyway, endelea vizuri, lakini ulisema ni kwa sababu ulikuwa ulikuwa food insecure. Haya, asante Eje.
Bwana, mimi naweza enda kwa transformer. Sasa Nicola, mimi naweza enda kwa transformer na nyoa hizo kuku ile transformer.
Though I love the way he's expressing himself. Is quite that is someone who can really be a good lecturer. But I think
you talked of the movie and I missed it out. What was the title of the movie you said?
Food Inc.
Food
Inc. Eh?
Yeah, quite.
Food Inc. INC.
Food color.
Yeah, said a range of stuff on what eventually
Dr. AJ, ulikuwa nasema aje ati
I'm always very respectful to elders of this.
AJ, I have a question for Dr. James.
Yeah,
he has spoken widely about the preservative or the ingredients that go into the food in the fast food places. Dr. James, what would you say about MSG? Because I used to like a restaurant, and my friend told me, don't go to that restaurant. They put MSG in their food. So when I asked what MSG is, she couldn't explain it properly to me. And then There's another time I went to the supermarket to buy this sauce, a sauce that is used on pasta. And it was written clearly that this product contains sodium bisulfate, something like that, which
It
causes
has what
cancer.
we call MSG as what we call monosodium glutamate.
Yeah, and
And
then yeah.
yeah,
So let me finish my question first, and then you can chime in. So the other product item that I saw on that uh, mm, on the source was sodium bisulfate, and they indicated that this product might cause cancer, but it was on the shelves and people were just buying it. So for me, because I get scared seeing those things, I didn't buy it. But I just wanted to hear Dr. James' opinion on MSG and on the preservative that they use on the sauces like sodium bisulfate.
oh, Dr.
Or
James.
you, AJ, you can go ahead as well. I just want to hear your opinions on that.
Yeah.
All right. AJ, go ahead. Since you had started, go ahead.
Okay. Monosodium glutamate is a flavor enhancer. I don't know if are you United States of America? If you
Yes,
are in United States,
yes.
you are there.
Mm-hmm.
It is widely used in that part of the world as a food flavor enhancer. And right now, I think the FDA um, uh, actually are still discussing the whole issue of MSG. It's a research that is still going on, but it is just very important for you to know this moving forward. If you consume MSG, you got to have this kind of body reactions. One, you will have headache. Okay, then we have sweating. I don't know if you have eaten, you will feel at some point you have a lot of temperature has increased. That is high fever. You got to have chest pain. And then, of course, nausea, weaknesses, something like numbness or what you call tingling, you know. And then if you touch your face, you feel like you don't feel your face. So it has some negative effect as such. And for so many times, especially for patients, wazongos who come from that part of the world, when they actually, some of them even carry those products. But I do advise the patients that you don't consume MSG all the time, because even if you are in United States, there's some people who consume it like almost every day. But when you consume it every day, you're gonna develop um, a continuous face, neck, and the facial regions. You will feel like it has some chronic numbness, which then means it affects the nervous supply, and that can end up even causing causing a mental disorder. So it is just the bottom line of all these products that we use is at the end of the day, they are affecting the nervous system. And like, for example, MSG, as we have said, if you consume it in large amount, the bottom line is that you will develop um, uh, such kind of medical symptoms. And so I'm not discouraging you that you should not take it, but you take in a small quantity. But now the problem with our food joint is that they will use it without considering the medical background of the people they are serving, or just use it to enhance the flavor for the benefit of attracting money. But if you have noticed that it is good, you have noticed that, then it is very important that at least once in a month, if you have to consume it, if you are addicted, because majority of girls like you develop a high sense of food, of such kind of food products. You just consume a little if you have to consume, but not something that then become part and parcel of your life. So I don't
Yeah,
know if,
because
yeah.
that's true, because the food tastes really good. So it's just like our brother was saying, diplomat was saying, the food tastes really good, and after you eat it, You go home and you still want to eat that food. So I think that's where
Exactly.
the catch is, because they entice you to keep going back for business purposes.
There is someone who will say when the deal is too good, you think twice. So you're gonna consume it a little bit, but you don't become, because as I'm telling you, you can consume it several times and you end up developing chronic disorder that might cost you your life for a long time, especially on the facial regions of the body.
Allow me to say something real quick.
Yes.
I know June has her hand up, so I'll be very brief because you've covered it quite well. Liz, I would again just everything that AJ said, but I would actually advise against it. Don't go and have it. Like if we already know that it's been linked to obesity, it's been linked to all these negative things. If a restaurant actually is serving it, and you said that you look at your products and you look at the amount of salt in it, and you've said that there's a product you put back in the shelf because it was too much salt in it. If you're already that conscious and you're already on that route towards limiting salt in your body, then stop. Don't go to a place that has MSG in their food, because it's been linked to many negative. If anything is on the fence that the FDA is still investigating its negative effects, then stay away from it. Why play games with something that's actually being investigated as possibly negative? So that's what I say to you. Asante sana, Liz.
Thanks so much, Dr. James. Liz, we are not discouraging you to consume dada. What we are actually saying is that, there is something in that therapy called you consume in moderation, okay? And every food you consume, you don't need to die with a whole plate of ugali on your in your mouth. You always tend to consume everything in moderation. And when you consume in moderation means you watch in per day. I think, Liz, you need to inbox me so that I do for you a that prescription. Per day, you can easily monitor what you are actually consuming. Um,
It's not that serious.
that makes you not to become repetitive on your consumptions.
Doctor, thank you. It's not that serious. I don't need
Yeah.
a prescription yet.
Okay, that's so great. That's so great. We don't
Yes.
want you to die.
Yeah.
It's quite great to retain you on earth for a long time. June, you have something? I don't know.
Sorry, I'm still laughing here. Yeah, everything in moderation, Liz, so that we don't die here. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, one thing I wanted to just mention. I know I got cut off earlier on. I had an urgent call that I had to take. However, I wanted to just go back to that point of saying, we have to enforce regulations related to all food production and approval back home. Even MSG, here, for example, in the Western countries, there's lots of regulation where only a certain percentage of MSG is allowed, maximum, right? However, back home, that does not happen. And it is very difficult for people who do not know what kind of percentage they should actually eat in a certain, whatever food they're having, vis-a-vis what not to eat. So it still goes back to, yes, there's so many things we can do individually to support ourselves. We can educate ourselves. We have so many tools right now that we can leverage to know what is good, what is not good, what we can eat in moderation, what we should avoid completely. But, on the other hand, there's so much that we can do at a systemic level to support our populations. When you talk about population health, there's so many things that we can do at a very, systemic level to be able to support our people to eat healthy, to live healthy, to be educated on what is getting into their bodies. And that goes back, of course, to all these regulatory bodies that we have, whether, whether it's cabs, whatever it is that is there at our disposal. Those ones should be able to support some of the approaches that we are using back in our own homes individually. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Wow, that is quite a great. I think, Hilary, you will need to bring someone from KEBS as well as Ministry of Health in senior positions are actually addressed, because standardization is a problem when it comes to what we consume here in Africa. Sisi tunakula everything, you know.
AJ, actually, I don't think that'll yield much. I'd rather have people like June, yourself, and people who really know this stuff. Because if you bring someone from Kebs, what do you think they'll say? Oh, tunachanga milk inapita. Hakuna. they'll not listen to us. So if we can have specialists at our level, in fact, this is a call from this Mandamano thing and how they're acting. This is a call to all of us. This is the level that we can impact change. Yes, I know the structural stuff, it's cool, but we can champion that. But we have to champion that stuff with the Katiba. So if there's a policy we can write, or there's a memorandum we can write to somebody, then let's go that route. Badala kuwaleta hapa watu sumbue wakuja hapa watu 10k na kuna kitu wanatuambia maana.